Chapter 15, Tilt. We skidded to a stop on a barren landscape, a cold gray no man's land beneath a black, dead sky. We climbed out of our pod, which was no longer a ship, just a small tilt-a-whirl ride pod, dented and lopsided, but otherwise not much different from how it started. Snaking fingers of ground fog streaked the grated ground, and the air held a stale, caustic odor, like the smell of a junkyard refrigerator. "What is this place?" Quinn asked. Dozens of poles poked out of the ground, and at the end of each pole was a sign. One way. Do not enter. Stop. Yield. No U-turn. They all pointed in different directions, like they were just standing around, not sure what or whom to direct. A pale clock face hung in the sky like the soulless face of a winter moon. The clock showed 6 a.m., but when I looked closer, I could see that the second hand showed 12 seconds to the hour. I watched those last seconds tick away. We made it all through all 7 rides in time. So why aren't we out? "Cassandra!" I called out to the black sky. "I did it, Cassandra. I made all 7 rides. By your own rules, you have to let me out." No answer. "You have to let me out." Then she appeared out of the fog, weaving through the forest of road signs. She was definitely worse for the wear. The copper sheen to her hair was gone. It was almost ashen gray. Her face was pale and world-weary, like a young woman old before her time. Her gown was moth-torn silk, like an old shroud, and its color, like the stuffed bear she first handed me, was what you get when you mix all your paints together. Now I understood the threat I posed and why Cassandra was so frightened. With each ride, I grew stronger, while she, in the park itself, grew weaker. Because of me, her magic was faltering. I doubt even she knew what would happen if it failed completely. 6 a.m., I said. "Time to let me go." "Yes," she said, her voice raspy. "I said I'd let you go, and I will." She sounded far too calm. It troubled me. "You get to go home, but Quinn goes to the works." "What?" "He only made it through 5 rides." I looked at Quinn, who was turning as white as the clock looming in the sky. "You've made the rides unstable," Cassandra said. "There's lots of damage to repair, and you need every soul on the job." "I've got a nice place for Quinn, next to Maggie and Russ." I shook my head, refusing to believe it. "That's not fair." "Life's not fair," she snapped. "Who said eternity has to be?" "I won't go without him." "I'll make you go. I'll put you outside the gate, and for the rest of your life, you'll know that you left your brother and friends behind. Unless what?" Cassandra took her time answering me. "Tell you what, I'll give you one chance to earn their freedom." She was playing games again, taunting, teasing. She dangled their freedom in front of me like a carrot, and I had no choice but to reach for it. "What do I have to do?" "All you have to do is take one more ride." She gestured toward a dark patch of ground, but it wasn't just ground. It was moving. It was a large turntable of dark gray asphalt, about 50 yards in diameter. It slowly revolved, and out of the misty darkness spun an object. A single teacup, just large enough for a person to sit in. A spinning teacup ride. That's all. It might not have been so bad, except for one thing. The teacup was yellow. School bus yellow. "Take this final ride, and if you make it through, your brother and your friends get to go home with you." The yellow teacup revolved back into the misty darkness. "You don't have to do it," said Quinn, but he was wrong. Even if his fate didn't hang in the balance, I had to take this ride. I turned to Cassandra. "What happens if I don't make it through?" She only smiled, pulling her hair back from her face. I took a step toward the slowly revolving patch of asphalt, but Quinn grabbed my arm. "I'll come with you." "You can't. I ride this one alone." His eyes grew moist. "Promise me you'll be back," he said. "Promise me you won't disappear." But I couldn't make him a promise I might not be able to keep. Cassandra crossed her arms impatiently. "Are you riding or not?" I stepped to the edge of the asphalt turntable. Its surface was slick, with a fine layer of black ice. "Hey, Blake?" I turned back to Quinn before I took that step onto the turntable. "Yeah?" He hesitated. "I'm just wondering. Did I ever tell you that I love you?" "No," I answered. "You never did." He shrugged. "So maybe I will someday." "Yeah," I said. "Me too." Then I stepped back into the turntable, and it carried me away from him. Back in 5. I kept my eyes on my brother until he faded into the mist. I turned to see the teacup just a few yards away. I pulled open the cup's little yellow door. The seats inside were dark green, leatherette. The wheel in the center was a steering wheel. I closed the door, took my seat, and grabbed the wheel. The teacup began to spin, slowly at first, but picking up speed as I pulled on the wheel, putting my weight behind it. I made that yellow teacup spin faster and faster until everything was blurred. The sound of squealing tires began to fill my ears. Suddenly I was spinning out of control. A doomed school bus on an icy day. Green sticky seats and the smell of cherry bubblegum, and a dozen kids screaming on the bus round and round and round. Andy Burke, my best friend, falls from his seat to the ground. I am 7. I am there. This is not just a ride. I am there. A teacher wails, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." Mrs. Greer. I remember her name now. I grip onto the seat in front of me to keep from being hurled across the bus. My backpack flies, and I never see it again. My fingers slip from the seat back, and I tumble into the aisle, my cheek hitting the cold black floor that smells of rubber and mud. "Hold on, Blake," Mrs. Greer yells. When I look up, I'm staring straight on the emergency exit at the back of the bus. It seems 100 yards away. Bam! We hit something hard, tearing metal. A guardrail flies up from the ground like a piece of confetti, smashes a window, and tumbles away. We've broken through the guardrail, the edge of Colfax Ravine. I know this place. This cliff is steep and rocky. I used to throw paper airplanes from this cliff and never see them hit the ground. As far as I know, Colfax Ravine is as deep as the Grand Canyon. The front end of the bus slips over the edge of the cliff, and now the side of the rear emergency exit door fills my mind, and I scramble toward it. No one else is opening that door. Don't they know? Don't they see why that door is there? If no one else will open it, I will. The bus tilts, its back end lifting into the air. The floor of the bus rises before me like a black wave. I climb the steep angle of the floor to get the emergency exit at the back. Screams and scraping metal, the smell of pee. Somebody's wet themselves. Maybe it's me. I reach the back of the bus and grip the emergency door release bar. "Open it, Blake," yells Mrs. Greer. "Open it, hurry!" And then I hear another voice, one that's not supposed to be here, the voice of Cassandra. She reclines in the back row, calmly watching, amused. "Hurry, Blake," she mocks. "Not much time left." "Open it!" screams Mrs. Greer. But the door is rusted shut. It doesn't budge. I can't! "You couldn't open it then," says Cassandra, "and you can't open it now. Such a shame." Metal scrapes on stone on the belly of the bus. The nose drops lower, the back rises higher, and the bus loses its balance, plunging into Colfax Ravine. I open my mouth to scream, but I am silenced by a blinding, searing explosion. But I am spinning out of control. A doomed school bus on an icy day. Screams, the smell of bubblegum, and Andy Burke falls to the floor. It's happening all over again. This ride is repeating. Mrs. Greer wails, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." No, not again. I can't go through this again. How many times will it repeat? How many times? Hold on, Blake. I'm in the aisle again. The smell of rubber and mud and the emergency exit. We hit the guardrail and teeter over the edge. I'm at the back now, tugging at the stubborn emergency exit door. And Cassandra is there again, smiling in triumph. "Here's your own special ride," she tells me. "You'll never change what happened, no matter how hard you try. You can't change this ride." I ram my fist against the emergency exit release until my knuckles are bruised and raw. "Open it, Blake," screams Mrs. Greer. I can't. We slip off the edge, plunging into the ravine. In the moments before the explosion, I can feel Cassandra's breath in my ear as she whispers, "Welcome to eternity." A blinding flash, and I am spinning out of control. A school bus on an icy day. Andy falls to the floor. "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." I've always been on this ride, from the moment that Cassandra in her bright orange car cut in front of the bus and sent it spinning out of control. I have been riding. It has dominated my life, playing in my dreams, my daydreams, and every thought I have. This is how Cassandra can trap me. Because in a way, I never left this bus. I've been riding since I was 7 years old. We crash through the guardrail. I drag myself to the back. There's a way out of every ride. There has to be a way out of this. There has to be. What am I not seeing? You have to remember what you did. I'm at the emergency exit again as the bus tips at the limit of its base. My thoughts race too fast to hold on. If only I could think. There has to be something I'm missing. I survived this accident. How did I do it? I close my eyes. I take a breath. "Open it, Blake." "No, Mrs. Greer. No, I won't open it. I have to slow down. I have to think. Force myself to remember. Let myself remember." And all at once, a rusty hinge in my head is jarred loose. My eyes open now. "This isn't how it happened." "What do you mean?" shouts Cassandra. "Of course it's how it's happened." I turn to her, realizing something for the first time. "You didn't hang around to see it, did you? You drove past the bus, cut in front of it, and sent us spinning. But you were gone before we crashed. You never saw what happened. This is your ride, she insists. Your memory. My memory's wrong. We slid into the ravine, an explosion, and I'm spinning out of control. Andy falls. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. As real as it's seen before, it's even more real now, because this time it's not just half the memory, it's the whole memory. I fall from my seat terrified. My face hits the floor. Hold on, Blake. There are other kids in the aisle, everyone's screaming. We crash through the rail. I see them right to the exit door. I'm climbing over my friends to get out, to get to that back door. Climbing over the backs of my friends to save myself. I have to get out. I have to. Others try to climb over me. Everyone's in the same panic. But I'm the fastest. I get there first. The bus tips, and I grab the emergency exit release. Open it, Blake! I tug, and I tug. I can't. The latch gives. The door opens, swinging wide. I did open the door. I did. That's what I refused to remember all those years. I did open the door. Now, I'm standing in the back of the bus. The world seems to stop poised on the moment that the way the bus is perfectly balanced on the edge of the cliff. Balanced. I am the balance. Suddenly, I was no longer on the bus. I was watching the whole scene unfold from the outside. I stood on the icy road, looking up to see my 7-year-old self standing at the open emergency exit door, the bus teetering back and forth, balanced on the edge. The rear wheels of the bus were high off the ground, so high that from here, I could see the spinning drive shaft and transmission. The works. Jump, Blake, I heard Mrs. Greer yell from the inside of the bus. The little boy at the back of the bus, the boy whom I once was, hesitated. It was such a long way down. As I watched, Cassandra danced around me, thrilled to know the truth of my survival. You jumped, didn't you? That's why you survived. Her mud-toned silken shroud flittered from every motion of her arms. You jumped out of the door, and that's all it took to push the bus over the edge. I didn't answer her. I just watched as the little boy at the back of the bus closed his eyes and leaned forward just as the bus slipped another foot. The terrified little boy somehow found it in himself to leap from the back of the doomed bus. Even though no one else jumped with him, even though he knew he'd be the only one out, even with the burden of guilt he would have to bear, I, still chose to live. He jumped from the back of the bus and I opened my arms, catching him. He was almost weightless, his sobs barely audible in my ears as the bus tipped and began its final slide off the edge. Cassandra stopped her dance and came in so close. I could hear her voice just as a whisper in my ear, but inside my head. They all died because you jumped. No, I said calmly. The bus was going over anyway. You'll never know that for sure. No, I won't. You'll never change what happened. No, but I can get off this ride. Forever. The back end of the bus disappeared over the edge. I held the boy in my arms safe from the flash of heat from the sound of the explosion, knowing this was the last time I'd ever have to hear it. It's all right, Blake. It's over now. I'll hold you and comfort you. And I'll forgive you for being the lucky one. I forgive you for not being strong enough to hold that bus up with your bare hands and save them all. I forgive you for surviving. I held him tight until I realized there was no one at all in my embrace. I was wrapping my arms around myself. The ride was finally over. I had made it out.